Hello everyone and welcome back to the AFL Fantasy Fanatics YouTube channel. The first buy round, round 12, is done, and it was certainly a weekend that was a bit of a weird one. A lot of a few highs, but a lot of lows, a lot of 40s that were counting for us, and even I had a decent enough week, but I still copped a 40 in my team. So yeah, certainly a tough week for a lot of people there, but a good week, back-to-back good weeks there. So 18-22 for me. So that was my best overall, best round rank of the season, 2,107 for the weekend. Now, obviously, best over ranking of the year, 4,280. So after that Grundy non-VC call, and then I got the Whitfield captain a couple weeks ago where I dropped from about 6K out to, outside 10K. To halve that and go inside 5K and just on the touches of top 4K is obviously really, really happy after the last couple of weeks. So I'm probably kicking myself a tiny bit with trades. So I went Dev Rob to Banfield. Obviously, that's fine if I got him on ice, and that was obviously with Grundy out. I thought with having already Banfield and Flanders counting for me, I thought I've got to try and get the extra numbers. So I end up doing the Grundy to Gorn move, so really happy with that. I think that would have gained probably about 80-odd points based on, I would have had, 46 counting for me, so got a 123. So what are you looking at there? 77-point gain there, so obviously happy with that trade. And then went Cook to Baz, and Cook to Baz is probably the one I'm kicking myself with because looking at, I think, my mid-season buys, I've got only one premium I'd be keeping on the round 15 buy, and I think I've got 5 on the round 16 buy, which is fine, but if I'd looked at it probably a little bit more, I might have gone Heaney, who's got the round 15 buy, and then I would have had him VC and would have had him in for his big score. So it could have even been, I think I would have scored a 1900 if that was the case. So kill myself a tiny bit, but I got Baz, so it is more than fine. Plus and minus 3 for the week. Who gets my plus 3? Oh, it's got to go. Actually, it's got to go to shout to Baz and Gorn on debut, both going over 120. But Jordan Goey gets my plus 3. He absolute machine. 53-point first quarter to get the game started. Made another 68k, so he's up at 848k now. So he's made a huge amount of cash over the last sort of month or so, particularly last 3 weeks. He's still got a break in of 41, and even if he gets an 80, he goes up another 30k. So he's going to be potentially near 900k after this week. But obviously, he's got his buy after this week. So for those that don't have him, that want to trade in, I still really like him as an option. Maybe though you pay the 880 around, maybe 880, 870 around where he'll be after this week, but could be 890. Maybe just wait 1 week. Obviously, watch him against Melbourne, and then after you look at taking him after his bye, because Collingwood's still got a great run after their bye. Port Adelaide, Richmond, Gold Coast, a pretty nice 3-game stretch thereafter. I still like him as a target, but I think if you don't have it now, you might just wait. I guess if you've got no round 14 bye players, particularly no forwards, because I don't think there's many forwards with the bye. Like I think Cos got round 16. Shees and Petrarch have already had their bye. So a lot of forwards have already had their bye. And we've got to find an option for Flanders, right? And if you don't love a Horn Francis, or if you've already got Petrarch, you don't have a Took, and you're not keen on Took, maybe you could go to Goey this week. So I don't actually mind that. It would give you an option then to loop in that round 4 if you've got a couple of rookies you wanted to loop between. So something to keep an eye on there. Minus 3, it's got to go to Hugh McCluggage. Like, I'm a bit lost a little bit as to why he's been so bad. I probably just put it down to the fact that we've seen players, I guess, like you look at Clayton Oliver 2 years ago when he had the injuries and came back after the off-season and he just didn't get going. We look at Walsh a couple of times as well, has done this, where he hasn't really had much of a pre-season and just he had a good game first couple back, but then just never really got going. Sort of wonder, is that McCluggage, right? He had those couple of good against Essendon and Carlton after a couple of weeks back of low tog, where he went 109 and 93, and then it's just been 52, 73, 46 as rookie scores over the last 3 weeks, and probably a lot down to that and the fact that Brisbane are just not playing particularly well at the moment. So he's just a tough one. His break-in is now up at 116, which is obviously, if he drops another bad score, he's going to be below 700k. He does have Gold Coast and Richmond, though, but he's a trade at his buy. So do you want to cop a little bit of cash loss to potentially get a score in the next 2 weeks? Because you're not keeping post his buys. He's nowhere near it. And then Sydney Geelong, who knows, they throw attention to his way there. So, yeah, I think you can certainly trade as early as this week because there's just been nothing to suggest he's going to get going. I I'm probably in a position where I'm probably going to hold this week. Like Tanner Brunn's another one that was probably lucky not to get the -3. Probably would have got it if I was giving it to players that played. But yeah, it's a tough one if you've got a lot of people got both, and if you've only got one, it's just McLeod and he goes. You can upgrade into someone like a Dawson coming off the bye. There, so yeah, tough one with Hugh McCluggage there. Let's go through the players as we always do. So Archie Roberts 78. Like obviously it's not what you wanted, and I know a lot of people that traded into him a few weeks ago. Obviously it was what they had in that game in the wet against Freo there, and then the tag by then the injuries against Richmond, he had to go into the midfield, and then the Murdoch tag for Taezer where he scored 78. I guess the positive thing at least was that he, if I go to match stats here and work it out, like Taezer was obviously great, he always plays Taezer usually, but 4 free kicks against, so the fact he was still able to get 31 touches with 10 kick-ins was great. So yeah, hopefully he'll be good from here, obviously just the tag. Going there. But we've now seen as well, just with West Coast, they've now tagged 3 weeks in a row with the halfbacks. It's gone Whitfield into Josh Dacos into Archie Roberts. So he does have Carlton and Melbourne before his bye, so I expect some good scores there. North Melbourne I don't see tagging, so I think under the roof he could still go well there, and then the Saints. So it's a good little run. Brisbane tough, then Giants is pretty good as well. So it's a couple of decent fixtures in there for him. I just actually want to have a look at the West Coast upcoming fixtures, because probably just something to watch. So Port Adelaide, like, I know that they've said horses for courses with the tags, right? But it wouldn't shock me if like Brady Hoff went to Horn Francis because Hoff can play in defence and goes to him, and then Murdoch goes to Zach Butters from half forward like that. I think that that's what they're going to do, because Murdoch is a probably good matchup for Butters. So that's just something to watch for this week there. Then North Melbourne, halfback, who's that going to be? If Colby's back to halfback, could it be at Colby? Like Sheasel could be one there. LDU probably the big one there for maybe Hoff. So just something to watch. And then Carlton, I don't see them going to like a Nick Newman, but just something to watch with these halfbacks against West Coast, because it could be a bit of a tricky situation there. Lockie Whitfield 110. Obviously very happy with that. 58 point last quarter. That junk time certainly was really good. We're certainly waiting for him to have a quarter like that. Didn't expect it to be that big, and the scary thing was it could have been bigger, because he went off with 5 minutes to go for his second benched in the quarter, which surprised me a little bit. Normally he stays out, but I guess with the little hamstring niggle that he's carrying at the moment, and the fact that a bye, they just thought, well, let's give him an early break, and obviously had the week off, and hopefully comes back freshened up there. They got the Saints posted by as well, so if you don't have Whitfield, big target. Lockie Ash, big target now as well. Looks like he's back a half-back. I think they've moved Daniels and Bedford more into that midfield there. So I think the tagging could be back on for the Giants, but also, Ash at back a half-back. I think we'll want both of these guys against the Saints in that game there. One to watch. But yeah, Whitfield, so his TOG I think would have been low 70s, I'd imagine. Yeah, 74%. Yeah, no surprise with the extra rest. So, but good to bounce back after obviously missing a game and then copping a tag against Murdoch. Sinclair 109, tough matchup. Good for him to just punch out another really solid score there. I think he's gone between 90 and 122 in every game. 4 of his last 5 been over the ton. Really happy with Jack Sinclair, and we know that the Saints have this every year, where he's going to have a lot of games now under the roof to end the year. And with Naz back this week, if there was ever going to be attention possibly to a Sinclair this week, I think it'll go to Naz now. So Sinclair should be good, and then it's a good run after this week for the Saints, particularly those defenders. Houston with a 90 was okay, certainly much better. Goes down to 37 Ks, break even still at 117, but I think we've got a couple other guys we'd trade out first. I think he's just a hold for this week with a good matchup against Melbourne. Then he's got his bye, and then you can, I guess, reassess how the rest of your team's going. You can certainly trade. I think he's done his job, and don't think he's going to be a top 6. I think he's about a 90 averaging defender, which is what he's averaging for the season, and dropping in price a bit. So I think you can trade next week. Nick Newman, I was pretty keen to actually trade him on his bye, but I think now I'm probably going to hold. He's got Essendon this week, so great matchup. Then he's got the bye, then Gold Coast, not Gold Coast, Giants, West Coast, Richmond. So really good 3-week run after the bye. Much better. Carlton have been last few weeks, but also Nick Newman as well this week. A lot better there. Port, not a great score. Dogs was probably the surprising one there, and then he played a bit of wing against Brisbane. So maybe a little bit of unlucky in a few of those matchups there. Could have been a couple of 90s and then the 7 against the Dogs, which is a surprising one. But yeah, I think he's probably a hold past his bye with the good run there. I'd be trading Houston out over a Nick Newman. And then Josh Lindsay, I think he can go this week. Like, he's been great this year. Made 2K this week. Break-even's at 71 now. His tog was low, and they've got Port and North Melbourne. So it is obviously at Optus next 2 weeks. But obviously, rookie, if you can upgrade him to someone coming off the bye, like there's a couple of options in defence you could look at. That's something I'm considering this week, going a Lindsay up there, because I know I'll have maybe Murdoch will trade his bye. So that's something to consider for you. Jacob Barrow, 63 was okay considering the conditions. That was probably the other thing that hurt Lindsay. But yeah, 63. He's got a much better role since Johnson's been out. He's much more of that distributor role. And again, 63 didn't get a huge amount of it, but he's now got Carlton and Melbourne in his next 2, so not too bad there. Probably holding him until his bye, get his score for the next couple of weeks, use as cover for Whitfield this week, and should be fine after that. And then Ty Gallop with the 37, he'll just be probably someone I just keep in my team for the rest of the year, unless I cash out of him later on. Went up, 4Ks? He's near 400k to be fair, so at least he's made a bit of cash. Very, very slow burn though. Gothard was certainly the pick at the start of the season. Baz, 126, obviously very happy with that. Was it 41 point last quarter or 45 point last quarter to get that score? Baz he's just built different. Played the whole last quarter last week and played the whole last quarter this week. So clearly the body must be good if he's playing the whole last quarter there, and obviously just racking up all the stat lines, getting it done. Adelaide, Gold Coast next 2, pretty good matchups there. Obviously, I don't think either team will need the team tags there, so I think he'll go well in those couple of games. So Baz, really happy to have him in the side. Bont, a little bit disappointing. Not a lot of people went him as the captain. I think a few people in the Content Crowds Cup went him captain. Just ever since that 143, just really hasn't got it done. The strapping was off the knee, so clearly it must be improving, and obviously buying a couple of weeks' time, so hopefully that'll get everything right. Nash this week will probably go to him, so that's a bit tough there. He never really scores well against Hawthorn in the past, but then Adelaide, St Kilda. Could be maybe tagged in Saints and Sydney there, but then the Adelaide game should be fine. So him and Dawson normally shake hands, and then they go from there. So Bont, disappointing, but he's obviously top 8 mid. Sam Walsh, a bit similar to what I said with Newman. I was looking to trade him on his bye, but with a pretty solid score against Geelong, I was happy when I saw Mullen go to Cripps there. I thought he was going to get the tag, but 109 is his best score since that 135 in round 7 against Freo. Obviously, some tricky games there. Like Saints haven't always been the easiest for mids. Brisbane at the Gab is always tough. Dogs for mids isn't an easy matchup either. Then Port have been giving up points, but he did rest a fair bit in that game. I think he had a couple of bench stints extra than normal. But yeah, Geelong was a good score. And then, as I said, with Newman's got a pretty good month coming up there. So hopefully Walsh can keep going. And he's probably on the cusp of a top 8 mid or sort of thereabouts, a particularly good run. So I think he's a hold past his bye. Finn Callahan, also another one I was considering trading out this week, just with the lack of form. But off the back of a 119 last week against Brisbane, then a 123. Good thing is he's really since round 8, since I've had him actually, he's at least had 5 marks or 5 tackles, one of the two, in every game since round 8, which I guess is a good thing for that floor, because he's always a guy that can accumulate the ball. Obviously, the West Coast game, he got the Hoff tags. That was really what held him back, because he had only the 19 touches, but Essendon nearly tonned up, Gold Coast tonned up, and then the last 2 weeks he's been good. So getting a little bit more marks as well, which is also good to see, kicking some goals. So filling up the stat lines a lot more than what he traditionally has done. He's got the bye obviously this week, but then Saints, Carlton, Hawthorn. So it could be maybe someone against Saints, maybe some attention there. Carlton, maybe does Hewitt stand next to him, and then Hawthorn could be nice. So some attention, but again, a bit similar to Walsh, is probably just on the cusp of the top 8 mids with the lack of midfield options that have been consistent. So Callahan probably a hold. Jack Steele is incredibly frustrating. Like, he's down at 851k, break-even's up at 106. He's just been dropping slowly. He's lost 155k now, so he's gone from being if you started him and traded him, maybe say after the Richmond game or even after that Sydney game, he's probably been a good pick for you. But if you've held him like I have and a lot of people have for the last month, it's been frustrating. So he hasn't tonned up since round 5. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row under the ton. The good thing is he's playing over 80% tog at least, but he's not doing anything with it. Like 2 tackles this week, just a lot of handballs this week. So very similar to the West Coast game, just way too many handballs, not getting open into much space. Collingwood, Nesson before his bye, a couple of good matchups, and Adelaide have been giving up points. So the hope is he can just put up a 90-odd average for the next 3 weeks. We hold him. He doesn't drop a huge amount, then we trade his buy. I think that's probably where I'm leaning to, particularly with the next 2 weeks being good matchups. Tanner Bruin, obviously I'm looking at trading. Just the role's been here, there, and everywhere. Been chopping around a lot. Break-in of 113. Went down 30k this week. So the good call was trading last week if you were able to adjust that when he was the late out. But obviously a lot held with Rechko. The good move would have been to trade out this week. But obviously with the carnage, we weren't able to. So I think he's a trade now. He's a low tog player. His role isn't solidified in sort of any position. He's in the best 23, but really just depending on the matchup, I think he changes his matchups there. Adelaide this week, Gold Coast, Freo. So it's not a bad run, but depending on the role, I just think he can go him up to a premium is a pretty good move. So that's, I think, what a lot of people are going to be looking at this week. McCluggage, obviously we spoke about before, just very, very disappointing there. Maybe a hold, but you could easily trade. He hasn't shown anything. And then Angus Anderson, 49, get a couple of goals with that. I think a lot of people will just hold this week with a few other guys will trade out first, and then he'll go on his buy. I think he's just him down will be a pretty popular move and make some cash from that. So Angry's been a solid rookie pick for a lot of us there. Then Rechko coming, just with Rechko, disappointing I guess with the 45. Really stunted that cash gen. Only made the 20k this week with a pretty low break even, and break even's up at 48. Again, he would be a good guy to trade, but can you trade? I think if you can go him down and go Flanders slightly up and you've got another issue you want to fix up, you could certainly look at doing that. Something I'm considering doing as well, because if I trade a midfield rookie this week, I've then got the ability to put, say, like a Farrow/Gallup into utility, give me a bit more flexibility moving forward. Or do you just hold him knowing you can pop a score in the future weeks, and then you trade him maybe later on in the buys or even post the buys to get some cash gens. So that's something to consider there. And then Sam Cumming as well, 54. It's okay, mate, but 12k, break-ins at 44. So he'll just keep playing and probably scoring 50s most weeks. So maybe a tiny bit more cash gen, probably really relying on him to pop like an 80 or a 90 for him to make some more cash there, but will just probably be someone for a lot of M10s there. Matt Scorn, really happy with him on debut. 123 looked great. I think Melbourne should really just persist with him as the number one ruck, because when you see him plays clearly their best ruck and their leader, and was great again. 22 touches, 8 marks, 30 hitouts, and still went 120. So I think every game he's been the solo ruck. He's just, I think he was the solo ruck for the first month of the season. Up until round 5, because round 6 I think was when Heath came in. There, and then, or it might have been Brisbane, one of these two, but he was obviously, I think he's averaging over 120 as a solo ruck, so he's the number one ruck if he is a solo ruck. So hopefully that does continue. And Darcy Cameron, back-to-back tons, very happy with that, made another 20-odd K, break even 66. Obviously he's got one more week till he's buy, and then we can maybe trade out later on, or even trade next week after their buy and go to a Tristan Sherry if you'd like to maybe do a move like that there if you've got him. Because he did struggle a bit at centre bounce with the hitouts, so you sort of wondered, does Collingwood make a change there? They could easily do that against this week against Gawn, so just something to watch. Hopefully they don't, but they certainly could do that. He has played a couple of athletic rucks in the last 2 weeks, so maybe they just go, well, that was just why. Hopefully against Gawn he can get it done, but Gawn is certainly a good jumper as well. And obviously if SC didn't play, I'd love to trade him out. If there's no rookies I want to bring in this week, I might just cash him out. But and I'll just hope, or if he just doesn't play, then I'll just leave him there and I'll downgrade him at some point. Flanders obviously has got to go, unfortunately, just with the ruptured Achilles. Sucks for him. He was really finding a role back at half back there, which is why I found it funny when the notification came through and it said star mid ruled out for the rest of the game with Achilles injury or something. And I'm like, he's been playing half back for the last few weeks. So, but yeah, we're going to be able to go to really whoever we want at 897k. There's plenty of forward options there's a few options come off the buy that you can consider to be bringing in. Cozzy got the tag from Bedford as we sort of thought. To get to 70 as a forward is still not too bad. Obviously dropped a fair bit of cash again. So it's going to be cheap for those that want to jump on him there. But he's now got Collingwood, Eston, Adelaide. I don't expect any tags to go his way there. Then he goes into the buy, then Hawthorn, who he got tagged by last time, but I know Hawthorn did say doing that ruined their structure, so maybe they just don't worry about the tag in that game. Then he's got Richmond, so pretty nice stretch for Cozzy. He's had his tough run now with a lot of tags that he's had last few weeks, but hopefully moving forward he'll be good to go with some better scores to go. We obviously mentioned before, still don't mind him as a target if you aren't heavy on the round 14 buy and you want to go there, because we don't have any forwards on that buy, or at least I don't think of. Carlton, no, there's no real forwards there. Collingwood, no. who are the other teams on the bye? Free or Hawthorn, unless you got Murphy Reed. He's probably the only other one, but you're probably light, so you probably could fit him in there. It gives you a loop in the forward line. Murdoch 96 is great. Again, 3 goals. That sort of wonder how he didn't get picked up earlier, but just getting it done as a mature age. We know these mature age rookies always deliver for us, and Murdoch, or most of the time they do, and Murdoch's been one of those. 55 break even, then we just ride for another 2 weeks there, and and you can reassess it around 15. Do you have other prems to upgrade then? Like, I'm not opposed to even holding him through his bye if I've got other issues to upgrade, and then in round 17 I upgrade Murdoch. Just because I don't know if I'm going to love any of the forwards. Is there a point of upgrading Murdoch at the moment if we don't love the forward options? We're sort of trying to figure out. Like, we've got Shees, Track, Cozzy, probably DeGoey, those 4 there. And then you've got some other solid options like Sanders, trying to think off the top of my head, like maybe Toot, maybe Chad Warner, Justin McInerney, Tom Sparrow, Jack Ross, these type of guys, but who are the 2 guys we want? So, if Murdoch's UF6, I think that's, or even Jagger Smith, you're certainly fine there. Charlie Banfield, 39 was disappointing just after Saints got a bad start and were down by a lot at halftime. He just never really got going. I thought he looked all right on the wing. Defensive running at times wasn't great, but I thought he had some good moments on the wing, and then he went forward in the second half and just didn't really get too much of the footy. Made a bit of money, and the hope is that he just holds his spot and the Saints persist with him because he's shown some good signs. Last week was his first bad week, but he certainly wasn't the only Saint. I think they'll have a few guys come back, like Naz, Owens, and Ryan will probably come back in. The hope is that there's other guys there that have been dropped previously that they make way and they leave Charlie Banfield in there to get some more exposure. But just something to keep an eye on. Obviously, Lombard didn't play, but got the skipper duties for me this week. And then Shees, Track, and Zach Butters will all come back in, which will be really, really nice. But I think for me, what I'll have Callahan and Whitfield on the bye, so I'll lose 2 prems, but gains 3 and maybe get an upgrade there as well. And obviously, Flanders being injury there. So in terms of trades, I'm honestly not too sure at the moment. Obviously, Lockout said it's late on Sunday night, so I'm not quite sure. But Houston will stay 1 more week. Jack Steele probably just stay to his bye. Tanner Brun probably will go for me, so that's probably one. McCluggage is probably going to have to stay just with Brun having to go, and then Flanders. So they're probably the 2 I'd like to sort of do, maybe a one down, 2 up. Like, could I just go like Flanders all the way down to a rookie, kick the can down the road for 1 week, and then maybe bring in a Colby off the if he has another good game off half back, maybe. Well, I say another good game, but he went to half back last week for a half, so maybe he's half back. Do I launch into him? Brent Daniels off the bye is someone I'm considering as well at a cheaper price. And I'm sort of not sold on Horn Francis just yet. He's got West Coast. As I said, I do think that Hoff goes to him in that matchup. They match up well, and then Murdoch goes to Butters. And then he's got Sydney the week after, so Jordan could probably just sit on either Rowbottom, could sit on Horn Francis or Butters there. So a couple of not great matchups next 2 weeks for Horn Francis. I don't love going to there. And then, like in terms of the other forwards, it's probably, then it's just downgrades, right? Like cashing out, I'll be able to cash out of Vicentini at some point. Rechko, Anderson, Cumming, Farrow, and then obviously upgrade Lindsay. So like, I've got a bit of cash in the bank that I do want to start cashing out a bit. So is it just a 1 down, 2 up, or is it maybe a double downgrade, 1 up? And reassess, but obviously Flanders' injuries probably change things a little bit. Maybe the double downgrade could be round 14 or round 15. Actually, round 15 is probably the one with just Dacos come off the bye. So, but yeah, in terms of ins, Luke Parker's someone I'm pretty keen on in defence with a really nice run for North Melbourne coming up. Obviously, I mentioned that on the pod with Selby last night, but Freo this week's tough, but then West Coast, Richmond, Essendon's a dream 3, Port, Collingwood, Melbourne, St Kilda. So Luke Parker as a D6, I think, for the next month or so could be a decent play until I really want to get to like a Naz type post buy. I think will be a good sort of placeholder there. And Dawson, you know me, I'd love to bring Dawson in. I just think against Geelong with no Rankin, I think that he'll get Mullen or O'Connor. One of the 2 will go to him. I think Dawson's going to be able to fight through it and score an 80, 90 odd score like he normally does. But do I want to be paying $1.082 million for that week? Or would I just wait maybe 1 week and then... but then it's like I want Dawson, I want Ash, and probably say a Daniels type post to buy. So I just got to assess sort of exactly where I'm going. Maybe I go Dawson and Parker this week and just lock him in. So a couple of things I'll be tossing up there. But that'll do us for another round, the team review for round 12. But let me know in the comments below, guys, how you guys went in round 12. Let me know what your score was, your round rank and your overall rank, and then your plus and minus threes as well. Hopefully you guys had some good weeks. I know it's a lot of tough weeks out there, but that's just one bye round. We still have another 4 to go. So if you had a bad one this week, hopefully you have another good 4 coming up, and you can continue rising up those ranks. So thanks everyone for tuning in. And we'll be live tomorrow night, as always, for our Q&A. So 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. per time, answering all of your questions. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. We are now less than 200 away from 5,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. We're getting very close to that goal of 5K. So if you can help us out, that'd be much appreciated. Turn on a little bell as well so you don't miss when we upload a video or go live or anything on the YouTube channel. Make sure you tick notification bell. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow for a Q&A. Thanks everyone. See ya.